Thanks for inviting. Nice to be here. As already was introduced, I'm a marketing guy, so I think it's a pretty good contrast with debt collection, which is a rather sad topic. So I hope I will be a bit more funny. My name is HANDO, SINISALU. For those who can't remember my last name, this is the logo I created for myself. And I haven't been actually sued by this particular Japanese motor company yet, but maybe I'm not famous enough, so sometime in the future there probably will be some legal actions against me. So I'm a marketing guy. I've been in marketing field for over 20 years. And basically what I do on a daily basis is that I collect case studies about marketing. And then based on these case studies, I train different organizations, travel around the world and speak at the conferences and organize the conferences myself. And financial services is the area that's been adopting the practices of social media and content marketing quite fast, because the products, the services you have are rather complex. And content marketing seems like a perfect tool for advertising and marketing financial services products, because you can explain your customers what your product is all about, and they obviously have many questions. So it seems like a perfect match. But in reality, it doesn't work that well. And the main reason why is that nobody wants your boring crap, as I said in the title. When you look at the majority of the communication of the content that is created by financial services companies, it's very boring. Nobody wants to watch it, read it. And obviously the marketers, the banks or financial services companies are not happy with that. So I'm trying to go a little bit into detail about it and try to explain what is wrong and how it can be improved. First, let's start with trends. What are the main trends in marketing? And I refer to a report published by Work, and you probably can't see it, but if the organizers will distribute my slides, then this will be included. Work is a British publisher and a research organization. It stands for a World Advertising Research Center. And this is one of the best marketing resources there is. So it's expensive. It costs you about maybe £2,000–3,000 per year to subscribe to it. But I think, if you're really interested in marketing, it's worth it. And every year they publish this report. It's based on the interviews with over 600 different marketing decision makers from all over the world. Marketers, agencies, media. And they identify what are the most important trends each year. And for the year of 2018, the current year, absolute #1 trend, what marketers think is most important, is CX, or customer experience, both online and offline. And other things being artificial intelligence, pressure on digital suppliers and data. But CX actually stands out, and it's really important, and it's important especially in the digital businesses. So if you're a bank or a financial service, you are not competing with each other. You are competing with the best in class. So if you create let's say if you're a fast loan company in Estonia, then it's not good enough if you say that we are better than our competitor, because your customers compare your website, your customer experience with the best in the world. So it has to be as seamless and as intuitive as the best e-commerce like Amazon, ride sharing like Uber, or food delivery like Deliveroo or Volt here out there. So you have to be the best in class, because consumers don't care. The same applies to a content you create. If you create a video for YouTube, it has to be as attractive as the cat video created by some kid in China, or some entertainment piece created by Hollywood production studios, or anything else, because your customers are comparing you with the best in class. Social media, when it came more than 10 years ago, for most of the marketers, it kind of initially they thought that this is a nice way of communicating and advertising for free. And in the early days it was so, but later when the algorithms changed, it became more and more difficult. And actually when you look at when you look at basically the content on social media, when you look at the average content of average company, it's actually quite bad, and nobody wants to engage with it. And marketing professor Mark Ritson, who is probably one of the kind of the sharpest minds in the marketing field, he's Australian living in London. He says that social media is for people and brands are not welcome here. And this is actually bad news for the brands. And just to give you an example, I come from a publishing company. And let's say if I, as a journalist, if I write a story about something and put it on my personal Facebook wall, then I usually get quite a lot of interaction from the people I know. If exactly the same story is placed on a website of the newspaper or the publishing house, the engagement is very low. The content is exactly the same. The only difference is who is communicating. And me as a person, I'm more trusted, I'm more human, and people want to communicate with me. If the brand publishes exactly the same content, then the users, other people, don't want to engage. And this is the main issue with social media marketing. How brands can be human, how can they use human face, human tone of voice, human ways of communication, rather than sounding bureaucratic, big, and kind of untrue. So this authenticity is really important. Then most marketers still, and not marketers only, but let's say the boards of companies, the bosses of marketers, when they look at what brands do on Facebook, the first question is that how many likes you get. So like used to be the main currency of social media. And for a very long time, there's been a discussion about how to evaluate, how to measure the value of a like. So in order to find this out, there was a academic research done, and this was published in Harvard Business Review earlier this year. And the question was, what's the value of a like? And the team of researchers who conducted this research on both sides of Atlantic Ocean in the US and Europe, they tried to find the connection between the amount of likes and the purchase. And they actually found it. And on the next slide, I do have the answer. But now, this is the kind of moment where you can make your wild guess. There is a monetary value of a like. What do you think how much that is? How many dollars, euros is one like worth on Facebook? I don't have any price to give out, but just you can play, offer 50 cents, $5, any other, $1. Okay, it's sorry. Yeah. Well, actually, there is a right answer to that question, and it's backed by the research. And the value of a like is 0. The executive summary of that research found that merely liking a brand on Facebook doesn't change behavior or increase purchasing. Actually, it works the other way around. People buy first, and if they like the product or service they bought, they go on Facebook and like that brand. It doesn't work this way that, oh, I like your Facebook content, I like you, I push a like, and then I go and buy. At least scientifically, it's not proven. So basically, likes are not a good currency to measure your sales or you to increase your sales. And for those who do that, they're on a wrong way. The main issue with Facebook is hate and dissatisfaction. If you are a brand with large customer base, if you're an airline or a telecom operator or utility company or bank, then you have thousands or hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of customers. And whatever you post on Facebook, you get just negative hate comments from your followers or clients. And It varies from country to country. I know here in Estonia, people are more, I don't know, if they are kinder or they just are so introvert that they don't want to comment at all. But basically, if you look at the English-speaking world, no matter what country, I looked at UK, Australia, Canada, US, any big bank gets only, I would say, 90% of the interaction they get on Facebook is negative. Just few examples here. This is Barclays from the UK. This is a picture of one corporate social responsibility action. You know, they organized a triathlon for disabled people. Very nice initiative, obviously. And the comments, there are 16 comments, all negative. And the first one says, absolutely disgusted with this bank. Publish the good you do, but forget to mention the hardship you cause your loyal customers. And this is just a random example. All comments are negative. Okay, maybe Brits are especially bad people. Let's take a look what Americans do. Well, Bank of America, a nice post again. Women business owners are leveraging mobile technology, blah, blah, blah. Nice initiative. All the comments, again, negative, 27 of them. And somebody says, women business owners, these banksters are against single moms. The other comment says, hey, business owners, don't use Bank of America. Okay, maybe Australians are nicer. ANZ Bank from Australia. This year we celebrate dads. Father's Day post. The first comment says, wish they would do things for the customers and not just tell customers we are changing, blah, blah, blah. So all negative comments again. What about Malaysia? Maybe they are nicer people. No way. This is CIMB Bank from Malaysia. This is the champion, the squash champion of Malaysia. Nice lady, Nicole David. She had a birthday. Since the bank is sponsoring her, they published a post saying happy birthday. What can be nicer than saying happy birthday to a sports hero? The first comment says, worst service I've ever seen. And it goes on like that. So these are just random examples, but you can actually go by yourself and check the Facebook page of any bank, and you see that customers are all angry at them. So then there's a question, why they are doing this? Why they are doing this at all? Because, you know, no matter what they post, they only get negative comments. No, social media is about, if you close the comments, it's as if, you know, social media is a social situation. So you and I, we go for a drink, and you say something negative about me. You say, I don't like your shirt. So I tape your mouth and say, shut up. And I keep talking. So it's not like that. So it's conversation. Social media is about conversation. And if you're a bank, if you open your social media page, you have to be open for a conversation, and you have to reply to those comments as well. Now, how banks usually reply? If somebody says, we are not happy with your service, your ATM is down, your internet bank sucks, whatever, then usually they say, thank you for your comment, sir. Our specialists are working on this, blah, blah, blah. So these replies, they sound as if they were written by the lawyers. I think very often they are written by the lawyers. So, and this actually even makes people more angry, because if you're on a social media, you expect even the brand to talk to you back in a human language. They don't, if I express my frustration, if I say, I hate your mobile app because it doesn't work, I don't want to get a reply saying, our IT team is working on it, we sincerely apologize for the inconvenience, blah, 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 bullshit. I want the humans, somebody say, sorry, we fucked up, we are working on it, and this guy is actually the best expert in the field, and within 3 months it will be ready. Then I would, you know, cool down and say, okay, maybe, let's give them another chance. But most companies, especially banks, are especially bad at it, because they speak to you in a formal, legal language. So it seems like a hopeless situation, but there is actually one good example. It's not from the financial services world, but it's even more complicated. It's a utility company from Georgia, from Tbilisi. Actually, it's a water company. You're from Georgia, right? So it's a water company. Do you know this case? Okay. So, and I saw that and I thought, this is genius, because if you're a water company, you obviously have issues every day. And obviously the customers are always angry at you. And if you would reply to them in a formal tone of voice saying, sir, this and that, we apologize, we do our best, we work on this, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't cool me down, because I know that this is written by some lawyer or even a robot. So I expect a human communication. And this is exactly what they did. Take a look at this little case film, which is produced by a Georgian marketing agency called Redberry.
We are Georgian Water and Power, and last time we checked, people hated us and enjoyed other people hating on us a lot. There was 0 positive brand mentions in social media and a hell of a lot negative ones. We were doing our best 24/7, but our works never got the same exposure that memes about our inaction did. Therefore, we used the virality of those brand mentions to strike back. When we received yet another negative tag on Facebook, we let our top employees respond to the haters. For each of our customers' smartest brand mentions, we had an even smarter as personalized video right from the epicenter of the works. People loved it. Each video made our efforts visible. The trend of hating us turned downside, and so did the GWP's perception from the most hated to one of the most loved Georgian brands. Real-time responses got the whole country's attention, earning us free media we could never dream of. The shift was so dramatic that in 3 months' time, our Christmas video was the nation's favorite greeting. From now on, Tbilisi knows that every time the water is out, our guys are doing their best, whether or not it is visible to the eye. We are Georgian Water and Power, and the last time we checked, people loved us.
Okay, so what's the point here is that if you're on social media, you have to speak to your customers in a human tone of voice. If this company would have replied in a legal tone of voice or a bureaucratic tone of voice, people would continue hating them. But as soon as they show that humans work there as well, this changes the whole game. So if you're a bank, if you're a financial services company, and you are on Facebook, and your customers complain about something, then try to be as sincere and human as possible in communicating with them. So that's the lesson from here. The next lesson comes from Estonian bank Swedbank, and they had an issue. They actually, like any bank, they want to attract a young customer segment, and they wanted to convince young customers to save. This is not an easy task, and they actually had several failed attempts. So they figured that people, just young people especially, don't want to talk to a bank on Facebook. Because, you know, banks are big, bureaucratic, corporate, and the young people don't want to communicate with big corporates. So finally, they took a different path, and what they did, they actually teamed up with one of quite famous blogger here in Estonia. And this blogger is a young woman with 3 kids. And they opened a Facebook group called Savings Diary. And this group actually is not branded, or it actually is branded very lightly as Swedbank. It's actually a completely separate group for individuals who are interested in sharing saving tips. And the bank participates in the conversation, but there are only 2 people from that bank. One is social media manager, the other is a leader of some consulting arm. And they actually participate in these conversations as private individuals, not the representatives of a bank. So actually bank becomes a human, shows the human face, opens a community, a platform to communicate with the customers, and by doing this non-aggressively, they actually have managed to grow this group rather big. It's a very active group. It has very meaningful conversations, and this is a little case film about that.
In Estonia, nearly 50% of Estonian families live paycheck to paycheck. We were the first brand in Estonia to successfully create a truly active community under the Facebook group #Kogumispäevik.
Movement that impacts the financial behavior of thousands. #Kogumispäevik is a place for people to share their practical tips. The results have been astonishing. In just 1 month, the community has expanded to 15,500 members, more than 90% of whom have been engaging actively. Members have made over 300 valuable posts, written more than 13,000 comments, and given upwards of 30,000 likes in 1 month. Thanks to strategic communication, the group has gained more than 40 free mentions in the media, and it keeps attracting interest. How did we do it? We involved not only a spokesperson from Swedbank's Institute of Finances, but also well-known blogger Miriam Hunt, whose family blog already stood out before for believing in the same values. Together, we challenged people to reduce their food costs by at least 10% in January. Miriam even took it a step further. She decided to try and feed her family of 5 with just 50 euros a week without compromising on quality. The challenge inspired members to put their saving skills to the test, and thousands joined in. Goals that had at first seemed impossible were met thanks to the support of other members. There were tips shared and everyone felt positive. During the first month, with a focus on optimizing the money spent on food, people actually saved more than 10,000 euros. The results? Saving is becoming Estonia's national sport.
Okay, this shows that that if you become to act like a member of a community, if you create the community instead of this branded page, you actually get a lot of engagement. The only trick here is that if you, as I said earlier, the branding is not very aggressive. So the question here is that it's not a good channel to aggressively sell something. You can't do that on social media. You have to participate in the conversations, and then you can later maybe sell to those people something, but the road is not that direct. So the biggest issue with all kind of content marketing, and this is based on another research by Harvard Business School, is that the biggest enemy is a brand bureaucracy. If you look at any YouTuber, any social media influencer, and compare with the brands, you see that the girl next door who films herself in her bedroom with the iPhone with 0 production cost gets maybe hundreds of thousands of followers on YouTube, whereas big corporates like banks, they really struggle in getting views on YouTube or likes on Facebook or any other engagement. And the main difference is that these private individuals, they are authentic, they are real, whereas the brands are bureaucratic, corporate, and not authentic. Just a few examples. There is a huge bank in the UK called NatWest, and they have a YouTube channel with hundreds of videos, and most of these videos get less than 100 views. This is a particular example of a video that has 41 views. And can you imagine being a NatWest bank? They probably have more people working in their marketing department than that. So basically that's it. But they still have spent, based on the production quality of this video, they have probably spent tens of thousands of euros or pounds on producing it. So it looks nice, but nobody wants to watch it. So I'm going to show you, this is a bit long, but I'm going to show just the beginning of it so you get an idea what's wrong with it.
I originally was working in finance, then had my kids. It wasn't what I wanted to be, a full-time mom, a full-time housewife. Being a skin therapist is what I've wanted to do for a long time. So 6 years ago, I was working in a converted garage. Now I'm in the heart of Birmingham. We met NatWest Harinda at an event. She advised me where to go, what to look for, what to do.
Starting a business can be a really lonely place. My role as business growth enabler is pivotal to all SMEs looking to start up, to grow.
When I met Harinda, I was with another bank and I wasn't happy with the services I was getting.
Okay, enough. You saw that, and now we have more than 41 people, of course, who watched it. But basically, what is wrong with this video? It's boring. It's about the bank bragging about what kind of services they offer, although it's, you know, through the eyes of a customer, but it's all stage. It's so unnatural. Like anybody who sees that can tell that this woman is not acting naturally because she has a scripted text. It's produced, you know, in this slow movement, you know, this always sunny, shiny. I mean, on YouTube, people don't want to watch that kind of stuff. It could work as a television commercial when you pay money and interrupt some people's viewing experience. You put it in the middle of a movie and then maybe they watch it because they have nothing else to do and you pay for that. But on YouTube, everybody, you know, has a control. You can just watch the next cat video in a matter of seconds, and nobody wants to watch that kind of crap. Although there are hundreds, if not thousands, of banks who produce such kind of videos every day, and they get still, you know, 41, 51 views. So stop doing that. Of course, you can't compete. Be honest, you can't compete with the funny cat videos because your content is still serious. So you can't be ridiculous. But there are other ways of attracting viewers as well. And this other video, which I show you in contrast, has almost 200,000 views, and this is from Canada. It's a business-to-business bank, so it's aimed for other businesses. And the production cost here, this video is done in a much lower budget, but still it has attracted more views. So let's take a look at this example, and also I'm going to show you only the beginning of it.
The digital age is changing your customers' behavior faster than ever. And that means you have to keep up or risk being left behind. Today, the internet plays a central role in customers' buying decisions. 50% of Canadians now use rating websites before purchasing, and 14% regularly share reviews on social media. If you sell to other businesses, you should know that people making B2B buying decisions have completed more than half their decision process before speaking to a sales rep. Today, e-commerce has become an essential part of business. In 2013, Canadian companies sold over $136 billion in products and services online, and over the next 5 years.
Okay, you got an idea. So why this video is so much better than the previous one, and why this one has so many more views, is that this has some value. So if you are a business owner and you watch that kind of video, you get information about the changing consumer behavior, you get information about changing digital landscape, and this gives you some value. Whereas the first video by NatWest has no value at all. It's just, you know, pure bullshit. So content marketing rule number 1 and maybe rule number 2 or rule number 3 as well. So this is the most important thing. Whatever you create as a content must have some benefit to your customer. Nobody is going to watch a content that is about yourself, bragging about yourself. Our company celebrated 20th anniversary this month. We are so old, so good. We are the best in the world. I mean, nobody wants that. If you want to attract, if you want to get the attention of your customers, then you have to step into their shoes and think, what is the benefit? What is in that content that is valuable to your customer? And maybe, only maybe, then you can sell them something via this content. Ask them to sign up for something or send their email address or, you know, whatever you want them to do. But you first have to satisfy their needs, offer them something. If you continue just being selfish and bragging about yourself, nobody wants to see or read or hear your crap. So that's it. From now, my time is up. Thank you. I hope you get at least something out of it.
Thank you very much, Hando. Any questions maybe? Wow, so many. can you raise your hands or? Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Does it work? Okay. So I'm Denis from MFI company Credit Plus. We operate in the Russian market. So I will bring some example from Estonian market, which is most probably the best like word for this is like brand hero. So you probably know Tommy Cash.
Yes.
Which was used for Estonian bank LHV.
Yes.
So do you have any examples of how these media people affect companies, like using like Tommy Cash image or some imaginary brand hero? Does it like bring positive effect? Does it bring negative effect, or it doesn't bring any effect?
Well, Tommy Cash was used in a rather targeted campaign to young people, so they, in a digital space, you can target it quite well. And I just saw this case study presented our Digital Marketing Awards last week, and it won an award, and actually the results were very good. So they managed to get attention of young people. They managed to achieve the sales goals they had. So I can tell you that this Tommy Cash campaign actually worked really well. On the other hand, I saw several negative comments as well on social media from people who don't like Tommy Cash. So there is always a certain risk. But I would say that the biggest failure in marketing is when nobody talks about you, if you get unnoticed. If you get attention, then obviously you get some negative attention, or you can't be liked by anybody or everybody. So I think that if you take calculated risk, if you use a controversial brand hero, then if you do it well, then it's okay. So the main warning is that don't do things that nobody notices. Okay. Who's that? Okay. Okay. He's very cute, so I don't see any controversy. I mean, who would hate that? I mean, you always need haters as well. So if you go too soft, too in the middle,
stand up and show it to everyone.
Yeah, maybe dog people. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
There were several more questions in that area. Who wanted to ask? Can you raise your hands again? Okay.
Hi, my name is Eric. First of all, thank you for the presentation. It was a pleasure listening to it. I totally see eye to eye with you on this topic. I'd like to point out that this does not only work for the B2C markets, but also for the B2B. I've been working with a LinkedIn partner for a while, and I know in LinkedIn there are way too many men in suits shaking hands. One can post a little bit more funny content in LinkedIn as well. But the concern I have here is what happens if people see through the whole thing. For example, my girlfriend says that she likes to follow some bloggers, but now they have gone too commercial. So when you step over the line and people see through that, this is actually branding.
Yeah, well, actually, if you refer to the Swedbank case with this well-known family blogger being involved, then first of all, she is not promoting Swedbank. So this Kogumispäevik or the Savings Diary group, they are very careful with Swedbank branding, and they only put limited advertising. Like every now and then you see some commercial offer, but you have to be very careful, because if the blogger or influencer becomes too obviously kind of paid by the brand, or if suspicious people understand that this is not true anymore, he or she will lose the followers. So I think another rule, or rule number 2, would be that you have to be authentic. You have to be sincere. If you are not, then the followers immediately would understand it, and they would stop following you. So you would lose all your social capital. So be very, if you do that, you have to be very careful and not to be too direct or aggressive with your branding.
Hi. Thanks for your nice presentation. Before, when you were talking about the negative comments, someone in the audience mentioned that maybe you should just disable the comment section. And actually, one of the biggest brands in the world, Apple, has done that on Facebook, on YouTube, and so on. So what do you think is the reason behind it? And do you have any case studies where other companies have used such an approach?
Well, Apple, I mean, this is they have their own rules, obviously. There is only one Apple in the world. So they don't follow the rules like any rules. So I would say that if you're an Apple, yes, you can do whatever you want. But if you're not an Apple, then you can't do that. So basically, the whole point of social media is, as I said earlier, it's about two-way communication. Of course, you can advertise on Facebook and still get leads. But if you want to have a normal Facebook page and you publish something there and you disable comments, then it's not a social media. It's just a regular mass media advertising, and I would not recommend to do that. But what you can do is that you can actually, let's say if you're a bank, or let's say if you're a telco, because telcos have even more haters than banks. If you're a telco, you can actually open different kinds of pages, and one can be, let's say, about new products and innovation. And you can then state in the rules and saying that this page is about new products and innovation, and all comments that are not relevant will be deleted. So if somebody wants to say this new Huawei phone is a crap because I've used it and it doesn't work so well, then this is relevant comment. If somebody posts a comment and says, the invoice I got was not correct, then it can be deleted because it's not relevant to that context. And then you can have another page, let's say about customer service, for example, where every customer who is unhappy can, complain. So this is the way how you can separate the kind of different comments and different conversations. Because what's happening in most of the cases now is that the brands they're putting all posts are mixed. So there is a post about we supported this action, we supported this sports hero, or we donated money to poor children, and then the next post is about this is our new package and this is a new product. So it's all mixed. So I would recommend to have separate even groups or walls for different conversations. And then you can delete, because you can say this is not relevant conversation to that particular page.
Thank you. One more question.
Yeah. Thank you for the presentation. What will you recommend to do if we are in the payday lending business and influencers and bloggers doesn't want to advertise it, since it's not that social business?
So like what business is that?
They think.
What?
Payday loans.
Payday loans.
Yes.
Asking that bloggers don't want to
yeah.
with
So
payday loans.
I understand. So payday loan is not necessarily a bad thing.
That's actually what I'm trying to tell.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but obviously what you can do is that you can probably educate your customers, because very often people who take payday loans, they obviously have trouble in managing their personal finances. So maybe you can become somebody like an opinion leader or advisor of those people. So maybe you can even create a group and recommend people on how to survive from payday to payday, how to not overspend, blah blah blah. And then if they still need the money for some unexpected cost, then you will be there to help them. So you can take this responsibility of educating your customers, because even if you're in a payday loan, you don't want these desperate customers who declare personal bankruptcy eventually. So I think if you turn this around and sincerely want to help your customers to better manage their finances, you can even find maybe influencer somebody like who is a recovering like there's a recovering alcoholic or a recovering drug addict. Maybe you can find somebody who has been in a personal bankruptcy and now trying to come back and be more responsible in managing their finances. And this person can maybe be a hero or somebody who shows that there's still a way to come out of this issue. Yeah.
Or just pay. You have any questions? Thank you very much,
Thank you.
HANDO. Very great presentation.